The Greenwich Township January 9, 2020 reorganization meeting starts. Call to order and public notice. This is a reorganization meeting of the Land Use Board of the Township of Greenwich. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, in that a notice is published in the Star Ledger and Express Times. Notice was posted on the Municipal Bulletin Board of the Township Administration Building in Greenwich Township, New Jersey, and notice was filed with the Township Clerk. Roll call. Paul Beam, Class 1.
Present.
Joseph Cicchello is excused, Class 2. Frank Marchetta, Class 3.
Here.
Ray Buckwalter, Class 4.
Here.
Bruce Williams, Class 4.
Here.
Kathy Colin, Class 4.
Here.
Gary Hill, Class 4.
Here.
Don Marie Condas, Class 4.
Here.
Mark Scuderi, Class 4.
Here.
Joseph Fiamma, Alternate 1.
Yes. Here.
Jeremy Blunt, Alternate 2.
Here.
Bill Cognac, Alternate 3.
Here.
And Pam Peslis, Alternate 4, is excused. So we'll start with election of a chairman. Any nominees?
I'll second nomination.
Any other nominations?
Same
Is it
number.
roll call?
You guys should take a vote now.
Okay. So this is a vote to nominate Chairman Ray Buckwalter for 2020,
To elect him, yes.
to elect him. So Paul Beam,
Yes.
Joseph, Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Bruce Williams,
Yes.
Kathy Cullen, Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas, Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma,
Yes.
Jeremy Blunt,
Yes.
Bill Cognac.
Yes.
Technically, I have to accept the nomination.
I almost got paroled. Good job, Susan.
Okay. Let me find the agenda so I can keep following the bouncing ball.
So election.
Perfect. Yep. So now, I'll ask for nomination for vice chairman.
I nominate Bruce Williams. Second.
Mark has the second.
Mark?
He kind of beat you that much. Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Nomination, Mr. Williams.
Good catch, Jeremy.
Paul Beam,
Yes.
Turn the mic on, I can't hear you.
It's on.
it's on, maybe,
We'll just try to move it
yeah, we'll try
closer.
to speak loud.
Or speak louder.
Paul Beam,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Ray Buckwalter,
Yes.
Kathy Cullen, Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas, Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma, Jeremy Blunt,
Yes.
Bill Cognac.
Yes. Thank you.
The next agenda item is to appoint the Land Use Board Attorney. I would nominate John Drill. Do we have any other nominations, comments, or questions? Hearing none, I would ask for a roll call vote. What's John's, what's your firm's name?
Stickle, Koenig, Sullivan, and Drill.
That's who we're nominating.
Paul Beam,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Ray Buckwalter,
Yes?
Bruce Williams,
Yes.
Kathy Cullen, Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas, Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma,
Yes.
Jeremy Blunt,
Yes.
Bill Cognac.
Yes.
Okay, next agenda item is to appoint our Land Use Board engineering expert. I would nominate Mike Finelli.
Second?
Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Paul Beam,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Ray Buckwalter,
Yes?
Bruce Williams,
Yes.
Kathy Cullen, Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas, Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma,
Yes.
Jeremy Blunt,
Yes.
Bill Cognac.
Very good. Next
Thank you
agenda.
very much, everyone.
You're welcome. Next agenda item is appointment of board secretary. I would nominate Susanna.
It's planning.
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 I'm sorry,
The board-
planning expert. And Beth's not here yet. So why don't we do the next two and I'll come back to it because she should be here to, bask in the glow. Appointment of land use board secretary. And I nominated Susanna Karas.
Second?
Do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Paul Beam,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Ray Buckwalter,
Yes?
Bruce Williams.
Yes.
Kathy Cullen,
Yes.
Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas, Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma,
Yes.
Jeremy Blunt,
Yes.
Bill Cognac.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is selection of newspapers for publication of legal notice. So we made an 11th hour change to this, and we're going to use the Hackettstown Star Gazette, right, Paul?
That is correct.
As the primary newspaper, which is a cost savings for the township, and the Express Times will be moved from the primary paper to the secondary paper. We probably have a whole... Oh, you have it.
What?
The, oh, they're in here in the pile.
And they go.
Well, if John's not here, I probably don't have to read the whole thing.
You don't.
I like you already. Okay. So, we're going to use the Hackettstown Star Gazette as the primary paper, and we're going to use the Express Times as the secondary paper. And I guess we should just take a roll call vote
We
on that motion.
Was there a motion and a second on that?
No, there was.
No,
That's what we need that.
I'll second that. You made the motion?
yes.
Okay, so roll call. Paul Beam,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Ray Buckwalter,
Yes.
Bruce Williams,
Yes.
Kathy Cullen,
Yes.
Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas,
Yes.
Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma,
Yes.
Jeremy Blunt,
Yes.
Bill Cognac.
Okay, very good. The next item is the calendar for 2020, so everyone can see on the agenda. We have published the calendar dates. We continue with the second Thursday of every month. The exception is on November 12th, the Township Committee has preempted us, so we need to select another date for the 12th. And now that Beth is here, we'll put you on the spot immediately.
Okay,
We need to know if our professionals would be able to attend or cover the 19th as an alternate for November. The silence is death.
Do you recall my response to that, Ray? Did I respond?
I don't remember
Okay.
seeing it on email,
All right.
but
I thought it was okay, but let's get to November.
I can do the yeah, I think you were confused, right, with the email, but then you said it would be okay with you.
That's,
Yeah.
being confused with an email wouldn't be the first time, so.
okay. And I know you probably have to speak for John, but at the end of the day, if somebody can be here, then,
Oh,
that's the League of Municipalities.
That's the last day of the league, that's right,
yeah,
so.
that's the League of Municipalities week, so.
So you're okay?
Yeah,
November
that
19th,
would
is
work,
that?
yeah.
Yes. John, he's typically away at that.
Is there anybody from your office that could cover?
Well, I can tell you right now, I know I can't because I have a meeting that night. Now, maybe Katie Raisin can, I just don't know.
I don't know about
No.
availability of the building.
The week,
We
be-
have to
yeah,
postpone it because the
no, the
county.
week before is our regular, would have been our regular
No,
night.
the 12th, she's talking about the week before the 12th.
Oh,
which would
before,
be the
I'm
first
sorry.
Thursday, which would be the 5th. And I don't
First
know if the
Thursday.
building's available on the 5th.
I think it is because the first Thursday is open space, so, yeah, you,
In other words, we can kick open space out.
well, you make the decision on the pecking order of groups, but,
You got
yeah.
the open space chair right there.
All right, so what about Beth, what about the 5th? Sorry.
That's okay. Yes.
Okay.
So,
Mike, are you okay on the 5th?
Yeah, because a lot of times I'm at the open space meeting, so yes, I'm definitely okay.
Okay, so your choice is to find someone to be here on the 5th. They could sleep at a Holiday Inn Express the night before or whatever. And then, so now I need a motion to approve the calendar as published with November 5th replacing November 12th as the November meeting date. Awesome. And roll call vote?
Paul Beam,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Ray Buckwalter,
Yes.
Bruce Williams,
Yes.
Kathy Coleman,
Yes.
Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas,
Yes.
Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma,
Yes.
Jeremy Blunt, Bill Cognac.
Awesome. Now, we saved this one for you, Beth.
Okay.
I need a nomination to appoint a planning expert. We skipped it. 'cause
I
you
bet.
were
If
here.
I don't show, I don't get it. I guess I understand
I
that.
nominate Beth McManus.
I second the nomination. Do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Paul Beam,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Ray Buckwalter,
Yes.
Bruce Williams,
Yes.
Kathy Coleman,
Yes.
Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas,
Yes.
Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma,
Yes.
Jeremy Blunt,
Yes.
Bill Cognac.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, normally we start with that. I'll tell you what,
You want to end with it?
since we could do that, or we could, I wanted to say on the record, where are the new members? Because before we officially
Reappointed.
started the meeting, just for the record, our attorneys swore in Paul Beam, Frank Marchetta, Ray Buckwalter, Joseph Fiamma, Jeremy Blunt, Bill Kenyak were sworn in, and Pam Peslis was not because she's excused from the meeting this evening. And now all rise for the flag salute. Boy, we're just mixing it all up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You got adopt the rules.
Yep.
But we didn't have a motion for the minutes, did we?
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. We still have I and J. So the next item in the list for reorganization is authorization to charge for meeting minutes, agenda, and meeting notices. Does anybody have any questions on this? We have established rates in our rules, and frankly, I don't remember off the top of my head what they are, but we need to authorize those rates. Who's our expert? John would normally
I
have
think it's
that.
in here, actually.
How is it?
Yes.
But it's not changing.
It's not changing, no. Okay, here we go. So just as information for the record, each person requesting a copy of a regular, special, or rescheduled meeting schedule, or an individual notice of a regular, special, or rescheduled meeting of the board to be mailed to him or her shall pay the Township of Greenwich the sum of $20 to defray the cost thereof. So mailing is $20. Any requests which include a request for agenda of business to come before the board and any particular meeting shall pay to the Township of Greenwich an additional sum of $20 per mailing. Each person requesting a copy of any minutes of any board meetings shall pay the Township of Greenwich the sum of $20 per meeting minutes to defray the cost, and those are the charges. Now, all of those things are available on the website free of charge, correct?
Yes.
So this is for people who insist on having something mailed out to them from the board. So I need a motion to authorize these charges.
I'll make that motion.
Roll call vote?
Paul Beam,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta, Ray Buckwalter,
Yes.
Bruce Williams,
Yes.
Kathy Coleman,
Yes.
Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas, Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma,
Yes.
Jeremy Blunt,
Yes.
Bill Cognac.
Okay, and the last, I think the last reorganization item, yep, the last reorganization item is the adoption of the resolution authorizing our rules of procedure. We've had these same rules in effect for many, many years. I'm not aware that they've changed. They are available if anyone wants to review them. They're extensive, so we're certainly not going to go over them tonight, but if anyone has any questions after the meeting in going back and looking at the rules and our procedures, I suggest you individually contact John Drill, because he's our keeper of the rules. So I need a motion to adopt the rules.
I'll make a motion that, as long as Mr. Dills approved them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're his rules.
They're his
actually.
rules.
He not only approved them,
He authored them.
he wrote them.
So then, yes, I'll
And did we get a second? And And roll call vote?
Paul Beam,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Ray Buckwalter,
Yes.
Bruce Williams,
Yes.
Kathy Cullen, Gary Hill,
Yes.
Don Marie Condas, Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Joseph Fiamma, Jeremy Blunt,
Yes.
Bill Cognac.
Excellent. So we are now completely reorganized for another year. Thank you, everyone. We did. Yeah, we did. We changed the 12th to the 5th, and we approved the calendar.
Oh, so that goes, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, yeah, item
I enjoy, okay.
H.
Oh, yeah.
That's the, I guess, resolution. Okay, the next thing we have is the December 12th minutes. Does anyone have any comments, suggestions, edits on the minutes for December 12th?
There were some edits that were recommended by Don Marie Condas, just some like spelling errors, and I think your name was spelled wrong, right? Yeah. It was on page 2, I believe. So the versions that you guys have on your desk are the revised versions.
So there were some minor changes. If no one has any other comments, suggestions, or changes, then I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes. Okay, Dawn has it, and Mark has the second. All in favor? Opposed? Does anyone need to abstain because they weren't here? We just need to... Okay, let the record show that Gary Hill's abstaining because he wasn't here for the December meeting.
And I'm abstaining also, I wasn't here.
Okay, and Paul Beam, got it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And now we have a public hearing, the Beatty Minor Subdivision and Variances Application, case number 2019-04, Block 20, Lot 17, 17.01, and 19. Yes?
Is this a Board of Adjustment matter?
No, there is
No.
not a density variance involved in this, so it's a land use permit.
If there's any kind of variance involved,
Right.
Paul and I have...
You guys have to
Well,
excuse
if there's a D variance, but there are just bulk variances on this.
I don't know, John told us if there's anything else to do with...
Only for D variances.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't use.
can't get out.
This isn't use, this is,
Yeah,
nice job. It was worth a shot. So, is the applicant here? Okay. Can somebody help, because you might have to stand up and tell us some stuff, maybe, I don't know, do we need to move that, or can they just stand there, or is that not even working?
Where are the,
I'm glad I wasn't on it.
where are the microphones for down there? Oh, they're up there.
Even those don't pick up very well, I try to listen to
They really could plan. There's a density variance, but I don't think that's the case.
Well, aren't they a little over?
Yeah, but there's an exception for, like, density D variances when you've got a 2-lot subdivision, or in this case, a lot line adjustment going into 2 lots. It's an exemption.
Okay.
And John looked at it also, yeah.
Oh, so he...
Give her a little space so she's not... Correct.
Oh, well, that's not good.
Well,
Okay, no, as far as...
Cross that off, yes.
It's all.
Yeah, there's my mouse in here. All right, we have engineering success. Okay. Mike, could you maybe set this thing up for us so we just give us kind of an overview before we ask the applicant? And then we can-
I sure could,
Awesome.
I think. All right. This matter, well, actually, before we do that, this application,
Mike,
technically-
before you start,
Oh.
I don't know if John typically does it, but I typically swear in the board professionals, so can we do that now?
Oh, sure.
Beth and
Yeah.
Mike would both raise their right hands. Yep. Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
I do.
I do. Okay, this application's been floating around back and forth for some time. It actually goes back to 2018, when it was initially submitted. we've gone through a number of incompleteness determinations, which we've done unilaterally as empowered by the board. In our report dated January 3rd, our current report, there was one item that we had requested, which was the tax payment certification, which has been provided. Therefore, I would make a motion for the board to deem this application complete, and then we can proceed with the hearing.
Okay, so Mike, on your recommendation, the application's now complete, and there's no waivers or anything that we need to act on?
No, they've actually, over time, ended up supplying everything that needed to be supplied.
And I would make the motion that we deem the application complete.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion carries.
Okay, let me provide the board with a little background. This is an application which is being handled as a minor subdivision. There are 3 lots that exist today, block 20, lots 17, 1701, and 19. They're all located along South Main Street, basically across from the Beatty's Road intersection. What the applicant is proposing to do is to, what I'll call, clean up some lot configurations that aren't consistent with the existing features that have been out on these various parcels for many years. I'm sure decades in most cases. The resulting reconfiguration will take this from 3 existing lots to 2 proposed or future lots. Those lots being proposed lots 1701 and 1702. 1702 will be a pretty large lot, a little over 30 acres, by the merger of 2 of the existing lots. And I think one of the primary benefits that's being seen by this application is will be proposed lot 1701, which is taking a piece of lot 19, merging it with lot 1701, but by virtue of that merger, existing home, barn, carport, a shed, are now, a septic system, are all being situated on the same lot, and the lot line does not go through any buildings. So it's clearly cleaning up what you would call is not a real desirable condition right now when you have a building being split by a lot line. So this is located in the RCD zone. We did not think that it meets the grandfathering provisions by virtue of the proposed subdivision and lot line adjustments. So there are a few variances that are needed, and maybe Beth can outline them. We have them listed in our report, and Beth did a nice job. I thought she put it in more of a chart form in her report. So that's generally a quick overview of the application.
So we're going from 3 lots to 2 lots, and there's buildings involved, and there's some variances which may have to do with, they're bulk variances, Beth?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so take it away.
All right. So ultimately, we're in the RCD district, and that means that the minimum lot size is 20 acres. There's some provisions in the ordinance, as Mike referenced, for grandfathering provisions, which provide alternative bulk standards for existing lots, but this doesn't apply because while they are existing improvements, we're ultimately creating 2 new lots as a result of the application. There are also some alternative development standards intended for lot size averaging. That doesn't apply either. So as a result, we're really not stuck, but we're looking only at the conventional RCD district standards. So as a result of that, there are a handful of bulk variances. The first is the minimum lot area. As I said, the minimum lot area is 20 acres, and our two new lots, one of them is non-conforming. So that's proposed lot 17.01. That has a proposed lot area of 3.57 acres. And I think it's important to recognize that although the board's approval would result in approving a non-conforming lot size, the application as a whole is actually moving towards conformance. So right now, we have two lots that are undersized. We're going to result in just one lot that's undersized. The two lots are lot 17 and lot 1701, existing lots that are at 2.59 and 11.36 acres. So as a result of this subdivision, we wind up with proposed lots 1701 and 1702, with only lot 1701 being undersized at that 3.57 acres. The other lot exceeds the minimum lot area of just over 30 acres.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Beth. Which lot's going away, 1702?
It's not quite that straightforward because we've got existing lots 17, 1701, and 19, and then our new lots are 1701 and 1702. So you could sort of say 19 is being combined with portions of lot 17 to result from the new lots, but I would look at this as more of like a blank slate, and we're just erasing the internal lot lines and creating new ones.
Yep. And so 1702, what's the acreage of that lot one?
The proposed is 30.06. All right. So that's our lot areas. We have a couple other variances I want to talk about, and I will say all of these are. Well, hold on, two more before I say that. So we have one lot frontage variance at, this is for lot 17.02. The requirement is 400 feet. The applicant is proposing 370 feet. We also have a lot depth variance. Again, that requirement is 400 feet. Lot 1701 has a proposal for 294 feet. Lot 1702 exceeds the minimum.
So depth required is 400, actual is 294.
Correct. So those are our three lot configuration variances: lot area for 1701, lot frontage for 1702, and lot depth for 1701. We also have another three variances that reflect or are about the existing conditions. The existing structures, I should say. So we have a minimum side yard requirement of 100 feet. However, lot 1701 is proposing 14.3 feet. Lot 1702 complies. We also have an existing condition for a minimum front yard for an accessory structure, and that's on lot 1702. They have a 9-foot setback, front yard setback. It's 50 feet is required. The minimum rear yard, again, for an accessory structure, 20 feet is required. The applicant is proposing 18.6 feet. So that's the extent of the variances that are necessary. It's lot area, 3 lot configuration variances, I would say, and then another 3 variances relating to the existing improvements of the property.
So the total acreage of all of the lots prior to the change is 33.63 acres, if I'm doing the math right.
Yeah.
So you can't get to 2 conforming lots.
Correct.
Even, so we're just actually improving the situation and we're not making matters worse.
Yeah, although we have a number of variances that we're here to talk about this evening, the application is actually moving towards compliance. I mean, it's not compliant, but it's moving in that direction. And the other thing I want to make clear is the applicant is not here to request a building lot. This is not about creating space for a new construction of single-family home or homes at this point.
And I would assume, and the applicant may want to weigh in on this at some point, but I would assume that all this pre-existing condition probably predates our current RCD zoning.
Yeah, I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
are we allowed to speak, or do we have to?
Absolutely. We're trying to save you the pain of needing to do a whole lot, but yes.
I don't have to do too much, based on what I hear.
Let me, if you're going to speak, are both of you going to speak?
Well,
Okay, okay.
she's the owner of the property, she's been there forever, I'm her brother. I'm gonna just speak.
All right, so why don't you raise your right hand?
Sure.
If you swear,
Well, first it was.
If you're going to speak
Only
on
you're
her
the
behalf,
speaker, so
you can
just
come
you.
forward and, yeah.
so raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth of the matter pending before the board?
I do.
State your name and address, please.
Carl Pearson, 306 9th Street, West Easton, Pennsylvania, 18042.
Thank you.
Could you just spell your last name, because I'm really bad at that.
First name is Carl with a
I got
C.
Carl, yeah.
Last name is Pearson. It's P-I-E-R-S-O-N.
Okay, that's how I would have done it, okay. And you're speaking on behalf
On
of
behalf of my sister,
Carol Beatty.
Carol.
Very good, thank you.
And just before you do that, I should say for the record that Mr. Drill did look at the notice and found it satisfactory.
Thank you. So, did you have any comments that you wanted to make to the board before we open up for discussion among the board members?
The only thing you would ask me if these buildings and things have been there for maybe pre the new zoning ordinance, I would believe so. I think I put it out in writing already, I think the property was purchased by the Beatty family back in 1939. I'm pretty sure all the buildings were there, except maybe her house, which was built in 1947. I don't know exactly when the ordinances were.
That's,
All of
that's
that would
well
be
before.
Well
the
before
ordinance
any
is
new
in place.
zoning, yeah.
Nothing else that I know of, to the best of my knowledge, everything else is there, it's been there, it's not going anywhere, it's just all vacant right now, unfortunately. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. So we're changing 3 lots to 2 lots. We're moving towards conformance because of the existing buildings and the way that the existing structures are laid out and the way the lots are laid out. We have some bulk variances for frontage, depth, side yard, and front yard setback.
I was thinking that there was one other possible variance, and that was because there was an apartment in the garage.
Yeah, that's, one of the items noted in my report is that the, one of the structures on, proposed lots 17.02 is noted as having a garage apartment. And garage apartments are not an existing permitted use in the RCD district or accessory apartments. And so one of the questions I had raised is, at what point was the apartment constructed? Was it constructed prior to zoning? Did it get a variance?
39, it was there when they bought the farm in 1939. It's been there.
Okay.
The whole family, the 3 families lived on the farm.
And that's been in continuous use since 1939?
Okay.
Until recently.
Yeah, a couple of months it's been vacant.
Well, I'm saying just it hasn't been repurposed and then turned back into, it's been an apartment since 1939.
Okay.
So if I understand the zoning correctly, that means it's grandfathered.
Yeah, that I don't know the township's zoning creation off the top of my head, but I'm certain it's post 1939.
Yeah.
More than Ford.
It's true. So, yeah, with that, the board should make a decision as to how you want to, if you want to address the garage in the resolution, if you want to recognize it as being a lawfully existing non-conforming use, or if you want to address it in a different way.
That would certainly help them in the future if it's on the record.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we need to put it on the record one way or another. I don't know if it's easier to do.
I'll make a note that will be a finding in the resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be very helpful to them in the future.
Because if we have to actually give them a variance, that would be a use variance.
Yes, and then it does trigger.
And then Frank and
Yes.
Paul would get to leave.
And I think we might have noticed provisions.
Well, no, the notice would be
The
wrong,
notice
this
would be
hearing would be
wrong.
done, it would,
Yeah.
yeah, it would, there'd be a number of problems that would
Yeah.
result.
I like door number one.
Yeah, and if we feel comfortable that the unit predates the zoning,
As long as that gives them the foundation to continue with the use as is without being challenged in the future, I think that's certainly fine with me, unless anyone else on the board has any questions. So I guess I would ask the board members if anyone has any questions for the applicant or the professionals. Best report's pretty good, it's laid out pretty straightforward.
Chairman Buckle.
Yes.
Mrs. McManus
Yes.
provided to us a letter, and she just read off the variances. I think I noticed one of the narrower two. I could be wrong, but I'd like to point them out. and
Sure.
Help the process. Let's see, on the picture buildings, it says minimum side yard, 14.3 feet. When I look on the map, I see 14.3 feet looks like it's the front yard setback. Maybe Mr. Finelli can probably look at the survey maps and confirm that.
well, I was looking on the computer, I just read it.
Yeah, Mike has the big version.
Mm.
It could just be a question of what you call front and what you call side.
Actually, it is front yard. The 14.3 for lot 1701 is the front yard setback, not the side yard.
So that's a variance then under the front yard, then both lots need front yard setback variances.
Well, what do you mean, both lot? Wait,
Here we go.
no,
Well, I'm,
there's no side yard, so,
Well,
there's no
there's a-
side yard variance.
There's an accessory building. All right, so what we've got is a minimum front yard. Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry, I must have misread the table when I was working on the memo. It's a minimum front yard of 14.3 feet for lot 17.01. I think I had said side yard previously. For principal building,
okay,
correct.
so that is a variance.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it continues to reflect the existing conditions, but yes.
Side.
Okay for that one?
Sure.
Right.
The minimum side yard is no variance, it's 223 feet for lot 1701, and more than 100 feet for lot 17.02.
Okay.
You were saying, Carl?
On the accessory buildings, on lot 17.01, the front yard, 192.2 feet. And you have the lot 17.02 at 9 feet. I didn't quite understand either of those two numbers. Maybe you could explain to me, how they fit into that, survey map?
For the accessory structures? Let's see.
The lot 17.01 is the lot that Carol Bailey lives on.
Mhm.
It says, minimum front yard is 50 feet. It says that hers is 192 feet. I understand that, and it appears to be okay. I agree with that. But then we go to lot 17.02, it says 9 feet. I don't know where that 9 feet came from.
It is,
It's certainly more than that.
I'm looking at your survey, your subdivision map that was submitted.
And that's the accessory building as well, so
Yeah, it's an accessory structure.
I'm trying to find it, actually.
So, all right, let's see, minimum front yard. Let's see, okay.
Do you want the big map here?
I have it
Yeah,
in
big
case.
map here if you need it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just running off my, the digital copies of the documents I got. Oh, you know what, I think, oh, folks, I'm sorry, I think my table just got a little screwed up with the titles of items. I think what we've got here is, I had, an incorrect, it doesn't matter, but something incorrect in the table. So what we've got are, I'm sorry for folks that took notes on the variances that I just ran through. What we have for accessory buildings, as noted on the, let me just correct the record. What we have for accessory buildings, as noted on the plan, is there are 3 requirements: distance to side line, distance to rear line, and distance to other building. And so, what I had were some alternative standard titles. So what we have, to correct, distance to side line is a 50-foot requirement. There is no variance necessary. The distance to rear line, essentially the rear yard setback for an accessory structure, is required to be 50 feet. Lot 17.01 complies. Lot 17.02 has that setback at 9 feet. And that is non-conforming condition.
So 1702, rear yard setback to the accessory structure.
That's distance from the rear line.
Yeah.
Right, that's 9 feet and
The
you need
minimum
50.
rear yard.
Correct.
Or minimum rear yard, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The final standard for accessory building here is distance to other building, and that is 20 feet. Lot 1701 complies. Lot 17.02 is 18.6 feet. So as such, there's a small deviation there.
Okay.
So I'm sorry about that, but thank you for pointing that out.
If you're gonna revise that, could you send us a new copy then, please?
I think what we're gonna, unless the chair indicates otherwise, I think what we're gonna have is the resolution correct, indicate the correct numbers. Yeah. What's that? Yes, yeah, same number of variances, they were just mislabeled.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So, does anybody on the board have any questions or comments regarding the application?
I have something, I think pretty quick from Mr. Pearson. Carl, you've received my recent letter, I assume?
I did,
Okay. Have you spoken with your surveyor?
I did.
Okay, good. There's a number of cleanup items, I'll call it, that are contained in my report, pages, I guess, pages 3 and 4. I assume that Mr. Herman is the surveyor that prepared the plan, has no problems in complying with any of this?
Well, he does and he doesn't.
Okay. Could you expand on that, please?
I can clarify that, matter of fact, if you want, I can enter his email response to me as an exhibit, if I was going to do that on this particular order. I can read it if you want to listen to it. Either that or you want to deal with it after the meeting, I'm not sure.
Before we do that, is this going to impact the,
No.
so what I'm going to suggest is, although this may be things that we want to have, that we clean that up offline. Because
Well,
it
yeah,
sounds-
typically, it would be after the fact, certainly.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
But it becomes a condition, doesn't it?
It would be a condition, but I'm sure there will be, conditions are gonna include, as they always do, compliance with both Beth's letter and my letter. I would suspect every
Right.
resolution has that.
Exactly, and that's my point, so we don't have to
So-
do that in real time.
No, I just wanted to kind of get on the record that that they've acknowledged receipt and are prepared to comply. That's all.
But he has some issues.
Yeah.
Is there anything that your surveyor can't comply with that we do need to deal with?
There's nothing that he cannot comply with as long as you pay him money.
Ah,
And I really like to read this, I think it's probably appropriate, I think Mike should hear it too. I don't know if you sent a copy to.
No, I did not see that.
so if you're gonna do that, I would just step up to the microphone to make sure we get it, because otherwise,
No problem at all. Can I stand or have to get down?
yeah, you
No,
can
you're
stand.
good.
You're
Yeah, no, you're good.
Says, "Good morning, Carl." This is a quote from his email. "Good morning, Carl. Happy New Year. I received the attached letter from Mr. Finelli's office. The technical review comments 1 through 10 are personal preferences and do not affect the integrity of the map. Furthermore, all of that information is shown in one place or another on the plan. Finally, the subdivision is to be perfected by filing deeds. The map will not be filed, so I don't understand why they're asking to bold and lighten lines. I will not perform any revisions to the plan without your authorization. Any further work will be performed on an hourly basis. Please let me know what you would like us to do. Thank you, Carl Herman." So, things that may or may not be done, or could or could not be done, I would try and minimize our cost if we can, obviously.
Okay, so Mike, I don't know what items 1 through 10 are. You obviously do, you wrote them. Is there anything there that you have to have, or anything there that you're willing to compromise on?
I wish you would have had that, received that, because I would have talked to Mr. Herman. Because basically I think what we're talking about here is probably style. And these plans are pretty busy with information and distances and so forth. You can see, how long it took us to even find some dimensions before. Part of a lot of the intent of some of these comments was to clean up the plan to make it a little easier to read and follow. However, I don't disagree with Mr. Herman in that the information, for the most part, is here, just maybe in a format that's not quite as easy to read as we might like. So, all that said, I think we could probably agree to wait. Should this be approved, it will be perfected via the filing of deeds versus the filing of maps. If the map was going to be filed, then I'd be a little more firm in wanting these changes made. The fact that it's going to be done by deed, I think we can maybe forego some of these quote-unquote cleanup items and it would be recorded in that fashion. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Next item.
Sure.
Again, this is for Mr. Finelli. Item 14 on your letter, Mike, says the date of Mr. Herman's signature on the map should be updated. I'm not sure what you meant by that, to be honest. He signed the map when he revised it.
Well, he didn't actually. I think maybe that should have been. There's no date where he signed the map. There's a date for the revision. Again, that's not. The map's not being recorded to NA. When the maps don't get recorded, it does change the complexion of things quite a bit.
Next item. On item 17 of Mr. Finelli's letter, payment of the required township tax map fee is required. Can you just give me a little explanation of what that is? Quick explanation.
Sure. There is a tax map maintenance fee that exists in the township code. It was instituted, I'm going to say 15 years ago, a long time ago, relatively long time. What it is when an applicant comes in, does a subdivision which reconfigures lots or creates new lots. These, in this case, your reconfigured lots are going to have to be reflected on the township tax maps. The township pays our office to update the tax maps. Therefore, instead of the township being responsible for the payment, in essence, you're paying for the tax map to be updated per your application. Okay, so that's what that is.
One more item.
And it's only, Mr. Pearson, I believe, I have to check, I think it's only $100 or something it's not an exorbitant amount of money.
One more item, sir.
Yes, sir.
Same letter, item number 16, it says the deeds shall be submitted for review by this office and Board Attorney Drill prior to signature by the Board Chairman and Secretary. My question on that is, all the old deeds had mets and bounds and gross acres and measurements. Do all the new maps require net or gross or both on the deed? I'm not sure what you're driving at there, that item.
Well, there's two components to that, and you're gonna have a description, as you just explained, which will be prepared by Mr. Herman, or probably is already prepared by Mr. Herman, for the two proposed new lots.
Right.
Okay. They typically will, they will reference a right-of-way, which is obviously excluded out of the area. So the area that's reflected typically in a description is the net area.
So the net area should be that, mets
Right.
and bounds that's plotted on the deeds.
Right. And the deed language itself, the deed, really will need to be prepared by an attorney, and they submit the deed. John Drill's office reviews the deed, our office reviews the deed description. And then we both sign off, and then those fine folks, there's a couple seats down from me, sign off.
Let me just take 1 second to see if I have other questions. I don't want to lose
Sure.
this opportunity. Only take a minute.
Mr. Finelli, for purposes of the resolution, if this application is approved, we know that certain items have been stipulated they're going to be complied with under your technical comments. For example, 14 and 16 we just talked about. The remaining comments, like 1 through 10, are we going to specify which ones are still open, or do you want to leave them all there subject to review and approval? How do we do that for purposes of the resolution?
In all my years, this is probably the first time I'm trying to figure out how to answer that question. I don't want to just,
Well, I
you
think
know,
we
just
could-
in a
we could
blanket
say,
way, just say none of them.
subject to review and approval of your technical review comment. I mean, you're ultimately going to make that determination. You're just not prepared to make it now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I actually would have liked to have spoken with Mr. Herman. I thought maybe Mr. Herman was going to even be at the meeting tonight, but that's fine.
So he sent that email.
No.
All right, well, that will be worked out. In the
Yeah,
event the
that can be
application is
worked out.
approved, it'll be worked out between Mr. Herman and Mr. Finelli.
Yeah, that maybe you just want to put it in that, any revisions to the plans that are reflected in my, January 3rd letter will be mutually agreed upon between our office and Van Cleef Engineering, or something to that effect. Is that okay, Mr.?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's it for questions.
You're good, Carl?
Very much.
Okay, I'm going to open it up again to the board to see if anyone on the board has any questions for the applicant, comments.
I just kind of have a comment, if I may, Mr. Chairman. I'm kind of curious, on existing lots, total area is 34.46, and proposed lots are 33.63. What happened to the .83 of an acre?
I can answer it. One of the figures is gross acres, the other is net acres when you take out some of the roadway.
Oh, there's an easement?
It's right away.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just saw the two numbers, I was like, well, what happened to it? Okay, cool.
Any other questions from board members? I think what we need to do is, eventually we need to ask for a motion, but I think,
With the public?
yeah. Is there anyone here from the public, on behalf of the applicant, or to comment on this application? Yes, ma'am.
I'm the owner of lot 15
Could you state
Can
your
you
name
come
and address,
forward?
please?
of Mary Columbus, 711
would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
Yes.
Do you need her to go over to the microphone?
Are you picking, go ahead and speak.
I'm sorry?
You getting it up?
We're not really getting you on the recording,
Could
so
you come
maybe you have
forward to
to
the
come
microphone?
forward. I'm sorry. I was just looking to see if we were gonna hear you on the recording.
I'm Mary Columbus. I'm at 711 South Main Street. While I don't object to the variance, I just wanted to know what's going to be developed there.
Nothing.
Yeah, the application isn't to develop anything, it's just to change the property lines. So, as a result of this meeting, the property will remain as is, the boundaries will just change.
All right, there was a question about a setback line. Is on 1701. I don't know how close to my property that is.
It's
So I
actually
thought
very,
maybe something was being built
Oh,
so that it's,
No, these are
It has-
setbacks for existing structures that are already there.
all
So there's
right.
nothing new. It's
Oh,
being
I'd
built.
like to
Okay.
come over, it's actually quite a distance from your property, ma'am.
Yeah,
It's quite a distance.
I didn't know. That's why we attended here.
No, that's fine. Then there's nothing as a result of this application that's being approved to be built there, but so what you have there now in existing structures is going to stay the same.
All right. Thank you.
Some of the public, as they hear the titling of a minor subdivision, they right away think houses are being built.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because it said something about units.
Well, if you take away the word minor, you probably really
So
have
I
something to
said,
worry
is
about.
it homes or is it condos going up over there?
No, no, no.
So that's all.
This owner's just trying to realign their property. They're taking 3 lots and combining them to 2 lots. The property lines of the entire property stay the same. All the structures on the entire
Uh-huh.
property stay the same.
All right.
So within that property, they're just changing the
right.
lots, configuration of
you.
the lots. You're welcome, thanks. Does anyone else have any questions for the board?
Hello.
Yes, sir. State your name.
My name is Robert McIntosh. I own 707 South Main Street.
Mr. McIntosh, could you, just in case you make a statement, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
I do.
And your address again?
707 South Main Street. I'm Carol's next door neighbor. Like the Columbus, I was concerned with the word subdivision, but, I realize what's happening here now, and rest assured, I can sleep easy tonight.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments before the board?
I have a point of order for myself personally, before we're doing a motion for variance. Because I've personally known Carl and Carol for about 65 years of my life, does that give me a problem with any kind of
If,
a motion comes up?
yeah, I mean, if you think there's a personal relationship that may impact the decision-making, you should recuse yourself. You understand what I just said? Okay, so I think it just out of an abundance of caution, why don't you recuse yourself too?
Out of caution,
Yeah.
I'm an alternate one, but I still belong to this.
Yep. Understood. Okay, if I don't hear any other comments from the public, going once, going twice, then we'll close the public hearing. I'll ask one more time if anyone on the board has any questions for the applicant or the professionals, our professionals relating to this application. Sounds like we're all good. What I'd like to do, Beth, I think the variances, we've made some changes to that. Could you whip through them pretty quickly, just
oh, sure.
to make sure that everybody's on the same? I was writing them down and frankly lost track at some point.
Sorry, I should shut my screen. Yeah, so we've got a handful of variances. All of these are C variances. First, we've got a minimum lot area for lot 1701. The proposal is 3.57 acres, whereas 20 acres is required. Next, we have a lot frontage variance for lot 17.02. The proposal is 370 feet, where 400 feet is required. We also have minimum lot depth for lot 17.01, 294 feet, whereas 400 feet is required. Next, we have a minimum side yard setback for principal building. Lot 17.01 has 223.
That's compliant.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have a minimum front yard setback at 14.3 feet for lot 17.01, whereas 100 feet is required. Next, we have for accessory buildings, we've got one variance for a distance to rear line.
Distance to other buildings?
I'm sorry, read off my report. Distance to other buildings, it's 20 feet required, 18.6 proposed for lot 17.02. We also have distance to rear line, where we've got 9 feet proposed and 50 feet required.
And that 9 feet is on lot 17.02.
Yes, thank you.
Very good. So no one on the board seems to have any issue with any of these variances. We're going to vote them in mass, or in other words, all at the same time. We'll ask for a resolution approving all of them. And then do we need anything else from your end, Mike, in terms of approval?
No, we already documented the coordination between our office and Mr. Herman's office. Obviously, we spoke of the method of perfection and recording of the subdivision, payment of any fees that are due, the tax map maintenance fees, most of which are outlined in my report. So that would be my recommendation.
And I think I would ask for a motion to approve the minor subdivision as stated with the variances that were read into the record by Beth, and also on the conditions that have been, that the final resolution comply with conditions that Mr. Finelli's office has put in place with, I'm sorry, what was the firm?
Van Cleef Engineering.
Thank you. Give it to Jeremy. Roll call vote?
Paul Bean,
Yes.
Frank Marchetta,
Yes.
Ray Buckwalter,
Yes?
Bruce Williams,
Yes.
Kathy Cullen,
Yes.
Gary Hill,
Yes.
John Ray Conda,
Yes.
Mark Scuderi,
Yes.
Bill Conyon.
The motion carries. Thank you.
Any more comments before we go? Will we receive something now from you folks?
There's
Oh, no,
no-
we're done. No, I'm just kidding.
There will be a resolution adopted by the board at a subsequent meeting. You will get a copy of that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Usually it takes about a month for the resolution to be prepared. All the professionals will review it, and
And then we have to vote
And
to
then
adopt it.
we have to adopt the resolution in our next meeting. So the resolution, because we don't really have the actual resolution in front of us yet. So it'll be prepared, it'll be adopted usually in the next meeting, and then it's official.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can do
Congratulations, Carl. You've shown a lot of patience on this. It's been a long time. Very nicely done.
Dawn Marie made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion carries.
What's that?